I had the worst fucking months of my life in business over 20 fucking years. That's the truth. Today we're going to be talking about my experience with Andy Elliott and the Elliott Group. And so I'd like to lay out as much factual information first, and then we can get into the nuances of my 2-month experience with the Elliott Group and Andy Elliott. And I've brought on here Rais Mohammed.
What's up?
And you're known as the beard
lawyer.
Beard lawyer.
Yeah.
There he goes. I love it. And
Random name.
yeah.
No idea where it came from.
Yeah, I had 4 years, and I wanted to trim some old energy away. And so I had 4 months recently this year. And
I saw your beard. Looked good.
Yeah.
It's dense.
I had to
well-groomed.
I shot a couple VSLs last weekend, so I trimmed it up for presentation purposes, but it's coming back. I like having my beard.
Yeah.
And so it makes for good, strong men.
The ladies like it.
Yeah, there you go. And so and this episode is brought to us by Pineal Clear. Clear that pineal gland. This has Haritaki, which is an ancient Indian herb, as well as Shilajit, the number one, what do they call that? The breaker of weakness in Ayurvedic medicine. And then it has Irish sea moss, chaga mushroom, and
Chaga's underrated, by the way.
Chaga's
a good...
I've been in this community for many years, and
Yeah.
chaga's been used, a lot. So I know a lot about chaga and used it over the years. And it also has turmeric for inflammation in the brain. And so Pineal Clear supports healthy inflammatory response, supports natural melatonin levels for your sleep. People want that testosterone boost, but what they really need is to lower cortisol and boost, lower the cortisol, get good sleep, and your testosterone will come out and play. The androgens will come out and play. Supports bio and circadian rhythms and supports decalcification. I had a friend that was on my platform recently, and he talked about he didn't believe in all the woo-woo and the calcification of the pineal gland, and he was in naturopathic school, and they went and did cadavers, and he witnessed those tissues calcified. Not only that, but the thyroid. He talked about crunchy little rocks, is what he said. And there was only one that had a soft pineal gland. One cadaver. So Pineal Clear, give it a try. This comes from the Purium Company, pure and premium non-GMO and organic superfoods and herbs. I've been with this company for a decade. It's great. Give it a try. Find it on my superfood store or send us a DM if you have any questions. Okay, without further ado, this is the Andy Elliott experience, according to Troy Casey. Many people have been asking me about my experience because they saw some posts that I did while I was working with Andy. So this was late 2022. I was doing approximately $50,000 in business with my Breath is Life course and my Ripped at 50 book and my Ripped at 50 digital course as well. And so we were spending about $20,000 to $30,000 on advertising. And the partner I was with was keeping my data. And so I wanted to break free from that and, scale as well. You need data to scale. I think data is probably the most important thing.
It's the most valuable asset.
It's the most valuable asset.
It's what Instagram, Facebook, that's what their asset is. It's data.
So as soon as I realized that I wasn't controlling my own data, it took me a little while to break off from that relationship. A little bit of a hostage-taking situation. And so, I was late 2022. I was very interested in building that back. And so I met with Andy Elliott. I'll get into the story a little bit later of how I met him and how I trusted his work. We made a deal. It was a handshake, man to man. I looked in the man's eye. He said, "You'll make millions with me." And so, right? And we'll get into the nuances, but that's what the man said. And we did a handshake deal, and I wired him the money, I do believe, right around that same time frame, early January, late December of 2023, 2022. And he said it would take him 3 weeks to build this infrastructure. And so my background is not in tech and marketing. It has been in health for the past 35 years. I help people with dysregulated immune systems, dysregulated nervous systems, endocrine systems, et cetera, to help to bring balance. More yin than yang is ultimately what I bring to the table. And so I met with Andy. We made the deal. I wired him $25,000 to start the deal going. Within 3 weeks, he missed his deadline. And then I asked to get it on paper because I didn't have it on paper. Very trusting person. And I believe in human valor and real,
honesty. Honesty. You believe in honesty?
You're an attorney, so
Yeah.
you probably advise against that, right? You're like, hey, get this stuff on paper. I get that.
Right.
However, I like to take people at their word and eye contact, and I think that to me is the biggest contract, personally. But again, that spiritually, energetically, that's the way I roll. But in the meantime, I did get something on paper. This came out approximately February 3rd, so that would be about a month into our agreement and payment. And this came, and I delivered my second payment of $25,000. And then this wasn't signed by Jackie Elliott. She dated it 2/20/23. So it was signed, my signature was 2/3/23. So let's go through the CRM build out, because this was what we contracted for in the Elliott Group. Now, there's multiple levels of breach of contract, according to me, and we'll get into the critical linchpin in a minute. But they were here beginning December 28th, the company will perform the following services for the client, which is me. The company is called the Elliott Group. Building a CRM with automated follow-up for people who didn't purchase, salesmen who didn't close, and people who purchased. Configure the domain to the website. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but move over all current data into the new system. Lay out sales pipeline, which is a sales funnel. And this was the agreement that I had with...
This is what you guys talked about before you even had the agreement.
We talked about packaging, pricing. I already had courses that were selling, that were successful. I have my digital ebook. I have hardcover copies of my book.
You're not starting from ground up. I mean, you're already a running shop. You just needed the extra... You need to move systems, keep the data, move to a different system.
Correct.
Right.
And I have 2 decades on social media and doing business online. I have 2 decades. And so lay out sales pipeline. There you go. Now that could be called sales funnel. That's copywriting. That's VSLs, right? If we're going to do an automated system, connect all social media to CRM, so data pools in the
it's migrating. Spot. It's migrating your data into their system, basically.
Add all your employees in. Funnel design to capture leads. Add any products you decide to sell moving forward with affiliate links for your salesmen. So just to be clear, I did not hire Andy Elliott or his group for sales training or any kind of coaching.
Yeah, thank God.
That was not the deal whatsoever. I wasn't interested in that. I have a team.
You didn't need the mindset? You didn't need to become a winner?
Well, and we're going to get into...
I'm sorry, I can't help myself.
No, we're going to get into that because that was some of the deceptive sales language and the psychological sales tactics that they played on me. And maybe you can give a little bit of linguistic terminology to that type of gaslighting, but it's very mind-fucking, to say the least. And so payment for services. Also, after he was paid, he contracted to do this for $3,000 a month to manage
it,
all of the systems, right? And everything had to be created. The website had to be created. The copy had to be created. I had plenty of assets, but it had to be put together. Pricing and packaging. And then the final linchpin, and these are the facts. As things got worse and worse, as excuses as opposed to results piled up, and things were not getting done, and things were not released at a timely manner. I found this online, and this is a published website. It has a picture of Brad Lee, which is a huge marketer. They also used his name. Roger Long, I think, was the guy. Here, let me see this. Roger Long was the point guard on there. He was supposed to be building all the technical infrastructure. He said that Brad Lee was moving into the building and moving to Scottsdale and, partnering with Andy. And that was a pretty big name online. I don't know the man, but I've seen his stuff coming up. And then this other person, Rob Bailey. And so I have this graphic, and in it quotes me as saying, I dove into Real Pulse. I don't know what Real Pulse is. A few months later, our family made more money in one day than we had ever made before. We cannot believe we get to not only make money, but we get to change the world doing what we love. So I never wrote that. I never said it. It also has my copywritten images from my book and the website that, as well as my trademark name, Troy Casey Certified Health Nut. And it's next to Brad Lee. Now, I didn't know if Brad Lee was a part of this lie, the con, the scam, or whatever it was. So I contacted both of these people. Rob Bailey he was kind of blown away that it was happening. Maybe he wanted to believe as well. I don't know. I can't speak for anyone. But this whole time I was with the Elliott Group, I wanted to believe. I needed technical infrastructure, back-end infrastructure. If you can't monetize me, I've been online for 20 years, or at that time about 17 years. If you can't monetize me, I mean, I'm very easily marketed. I've had plenty of success. I think it's reflective of your business. And I think Andy Elliott's deceiving others that he can do certain things and he cannot. So let's reiterate, and then I really want to break it into to you. So I hired Andy Elliott to build technical infrastructure and automate me online. I have the contract for that, and he didn't do what he said he was going to do. Actually, he said that he was finished because he basically took a Go High Level CRM, migrated my email list to it, wrote 5 emails, and said, we're finished. And I sold 5 units of a product that I did not know exactly what was, and I was trying to get that clear so my team could sell it, I could sell it, or I could at least talk about it online, and the systems would serve the people, right? The people would, if they were interested, they could buy my courses. And so, and that was not automated. And I had generated, I think, $497. So in contrast to this fake testimonial, it was the worst business I have done. January, February is huge business for people in health and wellness.
Yeah.
It's New Year, New You time. It was the worst January, February of my entire business as Certified Health Nut. And so it was an insult to injury. And almost anything I tried to talk to Andy about, it was gaslighting. No, we'll get it. This is easy, simple. We'll take care of it. Simple, easy. And then nothing ever got done. And so, all right, I think I got most of the facts out of there. Yeah. Well, let's say results never lie. So I hired the man. I gave him $50,000 motherfucking dollars.
What I want to understand is when you agreed to give him $50,000, your understanding was you're getting a fully automated CRM or automated sales channels. Key terminology.
Sales funnels.
Sales funnels.
I mean, everything's got to work. I already had it. I've experienced it before. Right. So the sales funnels, if I say, hey, I'm doing a retreat, click on my website, it should go into there and they should be able to find their way, and then we should be able to send them emails on that. And so
and close deals, generate sales. It's the whole idea. It's
The
a revenue generation tool.
VSLs,
Yeah.
copy, email sequences. I do believe for my breathwork course and my book, we had a sales funnel of about 35 emails.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, there's a lot of funny things going on here, and this is more commentary than legal analysis. But what's interesting is, did you even know that this platform was called Real Pulse?
No.
I mean, do you know what Real Pulse even is?
No.
You've never heard that word
They
until
published.
you saw your
Nope.
testimonial. So look, we'll put this contract aside for a second. Okay, just for a second. What's mind-blowing to me, I just want to read this so everybody watching, and we'll have to post the link to the historical website, which is now taken down, right?
They took it down the second I gave them a cease and desist.
Well, see, this is what gets me, right? I've dealt with e-commerce scammers. I represent a lot of legitimate coaches, okay, a lot of legitimate e-commerce companies. What they hate the most are people like this who defraud other people or who make these promises of you're going to be a millionaire, you're going to make millions of dollars, it's easy, we're going to do it for you, and then screw it up either because of negligence or deliberate, malice, because it makes everybody look bad, right? Why do people hate lawyers, so to speak? Because they get a bad rap. My lawyer doesn't call me back, they overcharge me, yada, yada, yada. And the real lawyers hate that because we do good ethical work. We represent clients. We get great results, even though we can't promise results. And it makes us look bad. So we don't it's the analog in the legal industry. So the first thing jumped out to me when you told me about this was this. And you have to plug this, when the video launches. But this picture of Troy Casey, ripped, certified health nut. And this just drives me nuts. Somebody falsified a quote. You didn't say this. I'm going to read it. You did not. You promised me you didn't say this.
Fucking A.
You didn't say it in a text. You
Nope.
didn't say it in a voicemail.
Nope. It's not fucking true.
Okay, ready? Here it is.
I was so fucking livid that there was
Yeah.
no money coming in from the big promise of Andy Elliott. It's fucking bullshit. And then they go ahead and write this.
Well, here's why I'm trying to bite my lip and hold my laugh. Because here's the copy. Ready? Here's the copy. I dove into the Real Pulse. A few months later, and this is in bold, our family made more money in one day than we had ever made before, period. We cannot believe we get to not only make money, but we get to change the world doing what we love, which is so sappy. I mean, it sounds like somebody in 10th grade wrote this for a high school project. It's sappy, it's crazy. Above all else, it's illegal. It's a false testimonial. It's a violation of consumer protection laws. It's a violation of the FTC Section 5. I could go on and on and on about how deceptive it is.
Please.
But it's a false testimonial. And this is what really bugs the hell out of me about these guys is they clout chase the shit out of people. So a guy like you, they know who you are. They know your brand. It was a very deliberate thing to get you into this agreement, this trash product that they've created. I hesitate to call it a product, whatever it is, off the shelf, white labeled thing, to get you into the trap so they could say, you know what? We don't really care if it performs or if Troy makes money, because once he checks the box and the check cashes, we can say that he's used it, he's been successful, and we can use him as part of our brand to market. We know that's true because I'm staring at it. And I would love to hear their side of the story. And here's what's even bigger bullshit, right? If I'm investigating this and I'm looking at this as a lawyer, I'm going to say, okay, show me. He says very clearly here, a few months later, our family made more money in one day. Let's stop. Than we ever made before. Yet I'm looking at the email that you wrote to him on May 3rd. Andy, if you're watching this, tell me this is bullshit.
Yeah, motherfucker.
On May 3rd, 2023, 6:24 p.m., Andy Elliott says to you, Troy, you received the YouTube unlisted video going over in depth what the contract reads and also that we completed the entire build. To be crystal clear, we've executed 100% on the Elliott Group's end. If you want to make changes, let us know. Your response was somebody who has a second grade reading level could look at this email that you responded back on the same day, 3 hours later, saying you were mad. This doesn't say to me that you made more money for your family and you than you've ever made in a day. So Where does he get this from? It is absolute deception. And when people say, well, Andy had a history. Why are you because I talked about his history before, and I got a lot of heat from some of his crony followers in town, right, in Scottsdale, saying, why are you talking about his history? This is why we're talking about his history, because he's still doing the same shit he did at these dealerships. This is it. This is subprime used car shit right here. That's my version of the story. I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing you wrote about 20 lines to Andy, and an idiot could see this is not a love letter. And you asked for a refund back. You said, this is not working. This is not what we talked about, okay? Material misstatements of information. Those are your words. You remember saying that?
Yes.
Okay. He turned around and spun it as you made more money in one day than you ever made before. And I'm pretty sure that people who sold Avon in the 80s didn't do shit like this. Mm-hmm. Because again, I've said this before, and I've said it on my channels. Anybody with a phone, with the device, can say and take a picture and say whatever they want about results. And people read this. I guarantee you people looked at this. I don't know Rob Bailey. I don't know Brad Leah. I know who you are. We've met before. And they read this and think, oh, this is a world-class entrepreneurs love using Real Pulse. See for yourself. It's a scam landing page to get clicks, to sell people on or upsell them on some platform that, in your words, in your exact real testimonial, doesn't work. You made $500 and you weren't satisfied.
We made $500 off of my name.
Off of your name.
And my list.
So for people who are listening to this, this is what gets me. So the Baller Busters, let's talk about for a second. The Baller Busters, the whole agenda with Baller Busters is this: busting the fake, what we call flex offenders, right? It's on my shirt. Flex offenders, or what I call sinfluencers, the guys who sell a sizzle on their Instagram page. Oh, 1 million followers, dude that looks ripped, finger in the face, which is also an infringed photograph that he stole from a photographer, didn't get the permission from. And it's very sexy and it sells, and people want to pay $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for a one-day training. Who has the last laugh on this stuff? And maybe 1 out of 10 words or 100 words makes sense that he says. I've watched his content online. It's empty. It's empty. You want to watch real sales trainers for free on YouTube? Watch people who have taken companies public for 1 minute and compare that to what these guys do, Elliott Group does. And anyone tell me if there's a difference and how big that divide is.
Yeah.
Right? Or real brands. And let me just say this. Other people have reached out to me to say that Andy Elliott just chases clout. He tags them, or his team tags them on their stories and pictures for clout. Why do you need to do that? Your brand, if you are good, will speak for itself, okay? I don't need to go and tell people about the results I achieve as a lawyer. You can go look it up. Mm-hmm. Talk to 5 people who've used me before. Not everybody may be a perfect happy camper. Maybe there were issues, but nobody is going to say that I falsified a quote to get clicks on my funnel, used you to build my funnel, or no one's going to say...
Or even took tens of thousands of dollars and got 0 motherfucking results, except for a heartache.
Well, and here's the thing. I think he sold you on results. You told me that, I think you said it here, that he promised you'd make millions of dollars with him. So it wasn't just...
And I want to get into the psychology in a minute.
I want to hear the psychology. It wasn't just the product that you paid $50,000, which to me, and by the way, I haven't dissected all of this, but I know a thing or two about, I know people my clients who build CRMs, okay? I know how Salesforce works. I know how the data works. $50,000 for this, you're better off buying a Lexus RX 350 with that $50K, because at least it would have looked sexy. You know what I'm saying? This is, you flushed it down the toilet, and what you got instead...
Well, it's not over. I will get my money back.
Yeah, it was a fake testimonial. Yeah. Something you didn't say. Oh, it's a good picture of you, I have to say. That he's falsely claiming. It's blatant. And he took this down after you asked him?
Immediately.
Interesting. I wonder why he did that, because he was in the right. That's the thing that people need to understand is, going back to what I said earlier, people say, well, hey, he had a shady history. He admitted to fraud. He admitted to criminal misconduct. He did. It's in 611 pages of court documents. I've read his deposition testimony. It's history. It's a very good history because it informs what's happening today.
He was convicted of 22, or he just pleaded out? convicted of 22 counts of fraud.
He walked because he took a deal, which is common when you're an informant, or it's common when you say, I'll spill the beans and tell you.
So he was a snitch?
He ratted out on his guys. Yeah, he was a rat. And I still don't have an answer to my question from any of the cronies who've commented on the videos we've done, which is, how has he changed? How has he changed?
Well, I see it as, Sean Pollard left. He was his vice president. I've seen that already. He's working for another sales team in Texas. And that guy he was lockstep right behind Andy. And, I heard a bunch of stories from Sean as well. But Sean's gone, right? Sean's the best. And my dad was in a cult. Can we get into the psychology
Let's
right
talk
now?
about the psychology.
So some of the red flags that turned up for me is Andy turned to me and he said, I'm creating a cult.
He used that word.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested in any of that, right? And I was only interested in getting my job. My mission, Troy Casey's Certified Health Nut mission, and this has been for a long time, my mission is to raise human consciousness and change all systems. My vision is clean air, water, soil, and equitable systems for all of mankind in my lifetime. That is what I'm here to do. I'm unstoppable in that realm. So I know that I have success. I know that somebody's going to deliver me the goods. This has been a good school of hard knocks, but I don't think it's worth 50 grand. And I hope other people do not get burned as well. Some of the psychology of why I even trusted this man in the first place was because a client of mine, he's a top guy in business in this town. When I moved to Scottsdale, I was up in Sedona. I figured, I'm moving to the big city. All right, big money. Let's make some plays, right?
Home of the $30,000 millionaires. That's what the running joke is.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Yeah.
I wasn't hip to that, and I've been in Los Angeles, right? I've been in a big, small fish in a big pond, and so I'm like, back to the big city. Let's make some business moves, And my client took me to the Biltmore in the morning, 6 a.m. And that's when I met the twins. And the twins were like, hey, Troy Casey, Certified Health Nut, stroking me the whole nine. And
did they know who you were? They knew they were.
They said they did.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I have people walk up to me in fucking tears. I changed their father's life. I changed somebody else's life. Teaching simple, natural-based principles, natural health. And I've changed many people's lives. So I'm not jaded when somebody comes up to me. I'm also not an ego trip, right? But if somebody genuinely says, hey, I love your stuff, your breath work, your ice baths, your this, your that, your presentation, I'm genuinely honored, right? And I definitely open up. I'm not a dummy, right?
Right.
But I open up, and these guys are stroking me, and I'm thinking, okay. And then I ran into them again at Lifetime in Scottsdale, and we started talking. And then they said, sales trainers, and we work with this guy, and he came from Oklahoma, and he had 10,000 square foot. Now he's in a 90,000 square foot building. And I thought, wow, that's some pretty big business, right? Going from that to that. And I know the power of the internet because I'm witnessing it with other influencers or people that are selling stuff online. And so I know that that's possible. And so I know that that's possible for me, especially because I was doing a good amount for multiple years in a row. And I still do really good with some of my other products. And so I knew it was possible. So I took a meeting with the twins. And again, they were stroking me. We want you to win, right? This whole winner-loser thing, right? This psychological, clusterfuck, man.
I can so see them saying that to you, too. That's funny. Were they wearing tight
shirts?
And
I want to win,
Were they wearing tight shirts and tight pants? Or not yet?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, whatever.
That's part of the shtick.
Yeah, it's the whole shtick, right? And they're all jacked and stuff.
Well,
and so,
jacked is...
Well, Jack
it's relative.
Jack from what?
He's jacked. Yeah, I don't know about those guys.
Yeah, but he looks relaxed.
Yeah.
So, but jacked from what?
Yeah. Yeah, jacked from what? That's a good question.
Well, and of course, because Andy's offering me shitty fucking coffee, caffeinated drinks and stuff, and he gets offended when you don't accept his drink, and then when you go to his sales training, he teaches about this because it's like bringing someone to your home. He taught all sorts of deception. There was no master closer seminar I was invited to because I paid into the
Let's
Elliott
talk about
Group.
that. Yeah.
So So the psychology, let's finish the story first. The psychology, my client turned me on to these guys. I trusted my client. He spoke highly of them. Then when they started speaking, I thought they advanced in business. That was quite impressive to me. They invited me over to meet Andy. I met Andy. He was very interesting, very charismatic. He didn't stutter when he was talking about, what he could do. He knew what was going on with my brand, some of the challenges and trials and tribulations. He understood. I got a little emotional. I shed a tear. I mean, I've lost some money in business, right? And it fucking hurts as a man. Especially, I grew up on the street, right? I take things at face value, and you say something, then I expect you to hold up to your word. And so I shared that information. He's like, I got you. You'll make millions. I know what you need to do. Here's my guy, and he's got these young protege tech guys, and I know those guys exist too. These nerds in the basement,
Right.
and the tech guys, they do exist. And he introduced me to them. Later on, I understood that that's not really what these kids were. They were good order takers and pencil pushers. I was like, hey, did you write the email sequence? Did you read my book? Did you, oh yeah, I read Alex Hormozy's book and I watched one of his videos, and I'm thinking, this guy's learning on the fly, right? And so, that's when the red
Selling the
flags.
sizzle, yeah.
Well, this is when the red flags started popping up.
That's right.
This isn't what Andy was talking about. This kid's no whiz.
Yeah.
He's no genius. He knows how to data entry stuff, and maybe he can write an email. Maybe they're using ChatGPT. So I trusted him because of my client. We got in there. Andy sounded good. It's what I needed done. We did the handshake, and then the red flags started popping up when I dealt with this Roger Long kid, 23-year-old guy, South Dakota, and I realized he's not an internet technical prodigy. He is a used car salesman turned data entry guy, type of thing. And then I started going, whoa. And then that's when they wanted the second payment, and I'm like, you guys got to start giving me some metrics, and I need the contract. So I got the contract, and then Sean Pollard, the vice president at the time, stepped in. He says, I got this project, and I read your book, and I know what this thing needs. So it's all this, what do you call it, placating,
Right.
where they're continuously selling. And it's like, I got you. And then you talk to Andy. It's like, it's simple. It's not a problem. We got this. Everything's handled. And then the twins were all of a sudden giving us sales training, which that's not what I contracted for. But I'm like, okay, you got some sales training? And then I was like, hey,
So
guys.
you went to one of these seminars.
I did, but they put us on Zoom to do the sales training. And I'll talk about the Master Closer seminar. And I was like, guys, this is great, all your closing techniques and building rapport. And I've been doing sales for years. And they tried to throw me back on, well, what are you working with us for? Like, why do you need to make extra money if you're so good? Type of thing. And I'm like, I'm coming to you guys for systems and packaging and pricing. And I want to know what I'm actually offering my customers, because I'm not here to fucking rip people off.
Right.
I'm here to give them tremendous value. I give 100% satisfaction guarantee on any of my fucking products. And they started yelling at me, and he muted me on Zoom. He muted me on Zoom and then walked away. Literally, that's their skill level
Sounds
of
about right.
coaching, right? That's their.
Where's the rebuttal? Where was the rebuttal?
Yeah,
I thought they teach rebuttals. They didn't have a rebuttal
Macklin,
for you?
Coach Ian Macklin, right? Amateur, like.
That's funny.
Anyway, so I did go to Master Closer, and they talked this whole thing about, professionalism and amateurs, and what was the other thing that they used? Accountability. There was no accountability with these guys. I'm like, where's my results? Where's the sales pages? Where's the funnel? Where's the thing that's automated, right? I have the customers. I have the people that want to work with me. I have my book that needs to be offered to the people. And so, how can I serve the people? And so it was all this gaslighting. And then I'll leave you with this, and then you can go.
Yeah.
But what I saw, Andy got up there and was berating these sales guys and telling them, look at your ATM receipt, and this is how you show up for your family. So he's using all this bullying,
guilt tripping them,
guilt and shame, right, to lead them into, but there's no closing technique. I thought I was going to learn something mind blowing.
Yeah.
And then
you didn't learn anything.
He said, this is what he said.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, if somebody asks for the Carfax, here's how you manipulate around that."
Of course.
It could have just been a fender bender, and you don't know, and this is a better deal. And I was just like, really?
So literally, he's using the same tactics he did back when he was a used car salesman.
Bait and
Literally.
switch, deception.
So here's, let's talk about the platform for just a second. And I want to talk about psychology because I think it's extremely important for people to understand.
Well, it's cult psychology.
It's cult psychology. And the reason why cult psychology works is because usually the people that appeal to cult psychology are people that have massive emotional gaps. They have some trauma. They're trying to heal from something. And there's an allure to be part of an exclusive group that could potentially solve these problems. We see this with every cult, right? And even religions are occultic because they claim to fill some void that people are hunting for. And I think they do that part really well.
And I'm a human being, so I can fall folly to that.
Well, it's nasty because you don't need to look further than the first few videos posted on Andy Elliott's page that are pinned, where they're shaming. Like you said, they're using shame. Why would you shame people that came to get like detailed explanation on how to sell? You would only do that so you could turn around and shame people that you're trying to sell products and services to, right? Why else would you do that? Either that or really you should be referring all of your customers to therapists. That's what you should be, a lead funnel for therapists. I want to jump back to this. I'm looking at a letter. It looks like somebody independent. You had somebody independent evaluate this platform that they created for you, right? Mm-hmm. There's a letter here. It basically says, look, I'm here to present a digital audit report of your company's case against Elliott Group, right? They're a digital auditor. You hired a digital auditor to look at whatever sausage they sold you.
A hacker or whatever.
Yeah. So somebody who's got digital prowess beyond yours,
Correct.
Right?
Hey, what did I pay for and what did I get?
What did I pay for? What did I get? I'm going to read what this person said in a few sentences. Based on my analysis, it's my professional opinion that Elliott Group has not fulfilled their contractual obligations to your company. Specifically, they failed to provide the complete list of job requirements for optimizing and maximizing your lead generation funnel for Troy Casey's projects. This includes, this is a laundry list. This must have been longer. I only have the first page. Number 1, landing page development and optimization. How do you pay $50,000 and not get a landing page? Let's keep going. Optimization of automations. Isn't that a core part of what you paid for? Number 3, building new funnels and split testing different concepts. I don't understand how you don't have a funnel. You read it in the contract. It said funnel or channels. Pipeline. Number 4, taking ownership of pixels, postbacks, and conversion tracking. That may be lingo that you don't understand, but the idea is there's a way to digitally track when people crawl, when people make a purchase, we drop pixels, we can remarket them, retarget them. Didn't do that. Creating custom workarounds where needed. I don't know what you paid for. I don't know what you got. Apparently you did $500 in sales, which according to them is, quote, the most money you've ever made before in one day, right? I mean, it's just so scammy. It's just scammy. And if this is the question I ask to anyone that is joining Andy Elliott. And by the way, I would invite Andy Elliott to the table, to your show.
Fuck yeah.
If he wants to talk, I'm
Get
happy
that
to talk.
motherfucker down here.
Well, look, I'm not trying to be combative. I genuinely want answers for people who are listening to this because many people are complaining about this. They're dropping into my DMs. They're putting comments on the videos talking about their own experience.
Me too.
And to go back to the cult psychology, because I think it's so important, the cult psychology is you're either in or you're out. And you have to make that decision very quickly. And you have to make that decision when you are in need.
Yeah.
What do you think the decision is going to be? You think you're going to be out? You're going to be in. And now you're branded. You're branded Elliott Group.
Sucker.
And everybody that's a naysayer, you don't have a reason to question it because you're either in or out. And if you're in, anybody that talks shit or anyone that says, well, we need to question what these results are. We need to question this training. We need to question the efficacy of what you just learned. You're out. And I see it in the comments. on some of my videos, which have gotten over over 1 million views, because I'm just stating the
You're
facts.
a hater.
I'm
if
a
you
troll.
If you question anything with Andy, you're a hater.
Look, it is one thing to teach mindset, okay?
Which I do.
And Tony Robbins, for example, go to his seminars, you learn, fine. It's one thing to say you're going to learn how to close. I'm going to teach you a rebuttal. And
which he did not. I would have loved to gotten some closing something.
I did telemarketing. I've done
tough.
I've done door-to-door sales,
Which is even tougher.
and I was always the top sales guy. You know why? Because I'm authentic. I'm not here to peddle shit. Move on. There's something to be said about ethics in sales and business. I don't see that, and please prove me wrong. Somebody, when you post this video, provide me the proof. And there's some people who say, well, he's changed lives. He's changed lives. And yet, on the flip side, I hear he's changed lives through manipulation, and my life is actually worse. And so when does the manipulation end? Just like any cult. Everybody who's in the cult believes they're better off. Everybody will drink the Kool-Aid.
Except for when they're extricated, hence Sean Pollard. Where's Sean Pollard now?
Yeah.
He was big vice president.
Well, the chasing
I just want what's right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Again, with the whole aggressiveness and shit, just fucking own up to your word.
Well, I mean, I hope he refunds your money. $50,000 is not a small amount of money, especially when you have a running business and you could invest it in other things like digital advertising, products, inventory, doing stuff like this. I hope he does the right thing. I don't know if he's contacted you since all this went down, but it seems like it's been radio silence. And
when I called Rob Bailey and contacted Brad Lee via email, and I sent them the email of cease and desist and how I didn't want to be caught up in deception, and I caught Brad Lee on Instagram. And he was very callous. He's like, just deal with Andy. And I'm like, dude, your fucking name is and your face
name and picture.
Name and picture next to mine. Look, if anybody uses my face, like my reputation is iron fucking clad. My word is fucking tight. And if there's beef, I want to settle it. And so they served me paper, and after losing $50,000 and not having success in business, and getting an attorney letter, and my attorney wasn't that great, and he didn't have IP and e-commerce knowledge and trademark and copyright knowledge. I have so much more knowledge now. I know copyright, if you can prove it's criminal, that's a big deal. And my book is copyrighted. So I didn't know that back then. And I got this letter from their attorney basically telling me not to say anything, or I'll get the smoke with the defamation. So I'm in a different place today, and this is my experience, and this is the truth. That's why I'm telling it, and I also, I'm good with where I'm at. I see that I have a big case.
Well, here's what I'm gonna say. People threaten defamation all the time. It just happens to be that internet defamation is a core part of my legal practice. I do it every day for people across the country, both plaintiff and defense. And you're talking about your experience. You've shown the proof of it. And I don't see how somebody could put their name on a letter that says, you're disparaging Elliott Group when you're talking about exactly what happened to you. So bring the defamation claim and let's see what they can do. I mean, if that's the threat they're going to make, I mean, this letter's not worth the paper it's written on. I've seen the facts. I mean, it's a false testimony. Did they say anything about the false testimonial in there, that it's true? Of course not. Because why would they bring up the weakest point? So Andy Elliott, if you have an answer to the use of this false endorsement and this quote that you literally pulled out of your ass and stuck under Troy's name, I'd love to hear
published on a website.
And published on a website, which I think was a landing page for this Pulse product.
Yeah, I'd like to bring on my business partner now, Barbero, because, take Troy Casey emotion out of it. And Barbero is a very solid, honest human being. I've been in relationship with him for about 12 or 15 years. Brought him to the Amazon to drink ayahuasca with us many years ago. Went through the Czech Institute with him. Without further ado, Captain Informer Barbaro Kaiko, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so this is a classic thing where you just have to watch somebody close to you take a little punishment. So I'm a good friend of Troy's. I'm a good business partner of Troy's. And he was in a desperate spot. He really was. And he was going through a lot of stuff. And, there was some confusion in the business, all that type of stuff. And then what came, this was my outlook on it. My vision of all this stuff was, because I can see stuff and I see stuff. I don't buy hype. I don't buy all the deception. I don't buy fraud. I don't buy all that bullshit. I know how to look at stuff. So when I saw them come in, I was like, okay, this is the perfect parasitic, opportunistic organism, or whatever you want to call it, a vulture of some type, to come in and take advantage of someone who's going through a desperate time. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what happened. Because when you're in a desperate situation like that, we go back to the whole psychological thing with cults and religion and all that type of stuff, the people who fall for the gizmos, the gadgets, the drugs, the quick fixes, the scams, whatever, the hype, are people that are desperate. It's the only people that can actually fall for something like that.
Well, it's first of all, I agree. And what's interesting is I've heard this argument online, and I can't believe it. Well, if Troy was bamboozled for $50,000, that's Troy's fault because he's a sophisticated business guy. And what did Andy do? He just sold somebody what they wanted to be sold. What's your response to that? I have my response. I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah. And I'm in a tough spot because I couldn't really say anything. I kind of wanted to, but then again, he wanted it to work, and I wanted it to work too. Just thank goodness for myself, I didn't buy into the whole thing. That way I kept what we had going afloat still. It kept working. But restate that question again?
Yeah. I mean, if Troy paid $50,000 for a product or service, and he's a sophisticated guy, we've heard him say he's a business owner, he's been around, he's been successful, isn't it Troy's fault that he paid Andy Elliott $50K and feels bamboozled now? It's his fault, isn't it?
Well, ultimately, yeah, it's all my fault. And I take complete onus and responsibility for my whole fucking life. Absolutely. At the highest level, yes. But also paying a man to do something, deliver, motherfucker.
That's my point.
Yeah, there's definitely both sides of it.
Well, my response to people who ask that question is, what is deception? What is fraud? I can tell you I'm going to do something. Bernie Madoff was the most loved man by every one of his investors. Elizabeth Holmes was loved by every single one of her investors. They were institutional investors. What makes Troy or anyone else different? If sophisticated investors can fall prey to things like that, don't you think these side hustle monkeys who get sold and sell this idea and sexy sizzle of I have a product of service to honest people, don't you think those honest people can fall prey to that? And the answer is, of course they can. And I think people we want to dodge the human instinct in people to say that we're just logical robots like ChatGPT, that it's zeros and ones. But we don't understand that sales is an emotional process. And when you're introduced to somebody that says, my buddy here is a great fill in the blank, great doctor, great lawyer, great physical trainer, and they're sold on something and it's dog shit, I don't fault the person who was sold the dog shit. I fault the person who's selling it, right? And it's too easy now. Anyone can buy fake followers and bots, run some ads, have a few sexy, points that they sell, and maybe a few success stories even. I'm not saying it's 100% failure, right? And dupe a bunch of people. We're seeing it every single day. This is my world we're talking about on the legal side. And I've dissected these people and their businesses. So I see this every day. So for me, it's like, it's not hard to believe that Troy got duped, and that you're sitting there watching it and listening to it. I mean...
Oh, I was never duped.
Yeah. What
I was never duped.
You weren't, but
Right.
I do think that...
Yeah, it's painful to watch.
I think Troy was hoodwinked because he sat across a table, like we all heard him say, that he was sold an idea of a product and service that he legitimately thought they could deliver on. He met the people, he shook their hands, he sat across the table, he looked them in the eye, believed it, sent the money, then got it, by the way, if anyone's listening to this, red flag number one, you do not do business with anyone who does not give you something in writing first. I don't care what it is. If it's $100, The fact that he had to ask for the contract, that's what you said, right? He had to ask for the contract, and we're talking about $50,000 deal, is just shady. It's just shady. It's bad business practices. It's deceptive. Anyway, what else can you tell us?
Yeah, well,
did you ever meet Andy?
of course, yeah, really quick.
Yeah.
You know, there's always been a thing with me because I'm kind of like a boogeyman to bullshit and like people that have an overly like fake appearance. Like there is some value there, but there's also a lot of deception there, like we talked about. So people tend to not talk to me too much, right? And I'm also not the star of the show. It's Troy's show. This is Troy's company and business. So, but as far as like the seminar, I was at the seminar. I mean, I was sitting there, I was listening to this stuff. Some of the stuff's true. You have to build rapport. You have to do connections, build relationships. You have to do all that type of stuff. But
Which you can get on a 3-minute YouTube
right,
video
and
for
I
free.
was there. But when I was there, I was just thinking to myself, like, this stuff's not going to improve my personal business. Like, I'm already doing good connections, good relationships, stuff like that. So if I would have taken that and started to use all these scripts and different stuff they were teaching, that would have sucked for us, even worse. So good thing I did not get sucked in, is what I'm saying here.
How long was this seminar?
It was like 8 hours. It was a one-day thing.
So in 8 hours.
Yeah, a lot of it was like, you know, bravado and hype and stuff like that. And there was some stuff that was decent for people that don't know anything about how to talk to somebody.
Well, tell me what the decent stuff was, because I want to hear the whole thing. I'm not here to say that it's all dog shit, like I said. Tell me what was the non-just bravado stuff. What was substantive for you?
Well, I do like how, and this is kind of, you know, this could be used either as deception or real, how he does bring in like showing up for you and your family into stuff. That's a good thing.
Showing up for you and your family. So
Right.
you need to do XYZ because you have a family and you need to support them.
Or just that, or like in the health, and for example, for us in health, you want to be as healthy as possible, right? Because you want to be able to show up at a high level of health to be able to take care of your family.
Which is
give
what
them
your
love and
primary
support.
care doctor could tell you.
Exactly.
Okay, you
But
pay a
that's-
primary
so
care
I'm
doctor
not saying you need to go to a
$8,000
big $2,000 seminar to learn this. I'm just saying there were some small things in there that was good, and a lot of the other stuff was just a bunch of, to me, hurrah.
Right. It's the back of the cereal box stuff. This is my problem, okay? Once again, the analog to a product that Troy bought or service for $50,000. And according to Troy and according to the guy that he hired to do an independent analysis, he didn't get $50,000 worth of service. He hardly got anything. And on top of that, to throw salt in his wounds, they made up a quote to say that this is the most amount of money he's ever...
That was the craziest thing of all.
So-
I generated more than that in that time by myself, working
Right.
with the superfoods that we work with.
That's my
Like
point.
this.
No, that's my point.
One guy.
That's
No,
my point
no
is-
sales and marketing.
Yeah. People are buying. And that's the thing. There's also strength in numbers. And so when we see people that are doing these mass seminars, and then there's a domino effect, which is also pure psychology. Everyone wants to be part of the moving crowd and move in the right direction. There's studies done on this in human behavior where if a crowd starts moving one direction, chances are you're going to start moving with the crowd. You're not going to go in the opposite way, even if everyone's running into the fire. There's a psychology to that. And most of the people who are going to these seminars are looking for that. Hey, give me that one thing I can write down that's going to take my business to 7, 8, 9 figures.
Of course, yeah. A lot of people are buying the scam nowadays.
And not only that, but then you finish. How did the 8-hour seminar end? I'm curious. Did they
It
take their shirts off and
ended-
beat each other up, or what did they do?
No, that's what I was expecting. No, at the end of it, how did it end? So it ended. His wife gave some talk about family. So
Okay.
that was like one of the last things, and then it ended with him offering more courses and more signing up.
No
for
kidding.
courses and all that.
So
which
there
is
was an
a
upsell to
classic
say-
upsell, stuff.
Yeah, sorry you learned bullshit here. Come back for second bullshit feeding.
There was all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much every seminar that goes on.
And see, once again, I have clients who do legitimate master courses, master classes, funnels, and it's technical. Okay, I did a continuing legal seminar education course last week for lawyers. Okay, I don't get paid to do that. I volunteered to do it because I get continuing what we call CLE credit. Right. The State Bar of Arizona charges a fee for lawyers to do it. There was 43 lawyers who showed up for this. It's technical stuff. I'm teaching you how to draft software as a service contracts. Actually, quite on point with what we're talking about today. I'm teaching lawyers. Some of them are in-house counsel at tech companies. Some of them are paid $500-$600 an hour. I'm teaching them how to improve their skill. And I had my outline was 10 pages. I had 55, 60-page samples. And I'm talking for an hour and a half. And it took me 5 to 6 hours to prepare for that. Okay? That's value. They paid $150, $200 for that class. There's value. I have a real problem with people being sold a honeypot. That's just it. It's unethical.
Well, so do I. And it just hurts business for the people that are doing good stuff. We deal with that shit all the time, especially in the health space.
Final question for you. You went to the seminar. Some people could say, the haters could say, well, you didn't talk about how in the seminars, who else is there? And you can schmooze and you can shake hands and exchange business cards. So tell me how much business you got from the meeting.
I got a pretty loyal customer out of that place.
A customer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just one.
Good.
He's a cool guy.
Did you get at least what you paid? Well, did you pay for the seminar?
No, it came as a part of Troy's $50,000.
Oh, right. That he didn't
investment.
actually pay for, but he kind of threw it in.
That was a throw-in.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
And as far as the sales training stuff goes, like I had to kind of put that in check because we were being basically taken down a different avenue, pulled away from what we were doing, and pulled into this like sales training, which is cool if you want to go sell cars or something, but that would have taken away from what I was doing. So I said that, and that's when the whole blow up happened on the call with the muting and the. Yeah.
By the way, do you get written materials when you go to these training seminars? Do you get
they gave like a notebook, and you just take notes.
A notebook for you to write in?
Yeah, you take notes.
What about outlines or slides? Do you get their PowerPoint? Do you get?
I didn't get a PowerPoint.
Interesting.
They had a PowerPoint. But
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
Interesting. So you don't get written materials. You get a notebook that you get at Walmart for 99 cents. Spiral.
Yeah. You
with
take
spiral.
notes. It has some quotes on it.
Perforated, tear out.
It was like a spiral thing. Yeah. A notebook. You take notes and all that stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. I mean, really, I just I had to watch him go through a tough lesson. Yeah.
I mean, if you were telling, if somebody, pretend I'm somebody who, look, I've seen the videos, I want to be hyped, I'm just launching a business, I've been practicing law and running my firm for 14 years, okay? It doesn't apply to me. But I want to get to the next level, and I've heard all this shtick about Andy Elliott. Would you tell me to go to one of his seminars? I'm curious.
And what's the end goal for the person?
I'm starting an e-commerce company, or I have a brand, a product, like Troy, like you and Troy. You have a business, you have a product, you have a brand. I want to take it to the next level. I'm leveling up. Am I taking his seminar?
It's
just your opinion.
If you want to contribute to a lot of the other bullshit that's on the internet and all the sales bros and the fancy hype stuff, and I guess you can call it scamming, whatever, and you need that motivation because you have no real vision and real intention and stuff, that's the people that need the hoorah and the motivation are those people for the most part. That's why they're there. You don't need to be motivated exteriorly if you're internally motivated, right? So if you're one of those, then dive right in. If you want to work with authenticity, then I'd look elsewhere.
Yeah.
Personally.
Interesting. How much was the next course that you were offered?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I know it was, I don't know. They had a couple different options. Like most things are like that.
Yeah. Sounds like Troy wants to say something.
So, but yeah, that's me.
If you're done, you're done.
Yeah, I'm done. Do you have any other question for me?
No, I just very curious. And it sounds like you answered all the questions I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Nothing new.
No, I've seen all the stuff on the internet. Like I'm so tired of all that shit. That's why as soon as this went on, let me just go in the beginning really quick. Can I say one thing?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the twins came over our house one day. I knew that it wasn't going to be a good fit, but I was like, okay, these guys are probably going to work Troy harder, of course. And
Was this before or after the 50,000?
it was before. And then the day of the signing, we were on a Zoom call, kind of like a follow-up Zoom call. I was back in California, and we had another business partner of ours on there. It was him, me, and then the twins, somebody else. And they literally said on the call what they do to people. Like, they want to bring in Andy to, help solidify and, kind of starstruck people a little bit. And, of course, that can work, right? So they brought him on, and then 5 minutes later, and he's like, "Hey, come on in. Let's get you. Come on into the Lions Den, Troy." And as soon as I got off that call, I was like, "Fuck, he's signing up with these guys."
The Lion's Den. What's your interpretation of what the Lion's Den is? What is it?
I mean, I don't know if I'd use lion to describe it. It's just a bunch of people that are hoorah, and it's just, they're doing their thing with sales bros and all that type of stuff, really. I mean, I have a different outlook on everything than most people do.
Sure.
For me, it just looks like a bunch of bullshit and a bunch of people that are overly hyped on something that's you don't need to be overly hyped for. And then you also have people that are, puffed up walking around that aren't authentic on the fucking exterior. like they're portraying a non-authentic image if you're using drugs of any and all kinds, right? You're already not that authentic. So I just see a lot of that stuff, deception, whatever, and I am, compassionate, so I do give people a chance and all that too. So I don't want to judge too hard, but I see what I see.
Have you or Troy ever joined in one of the workouts?
We went to a workout the day before the seminar, actually.
Yeah.
They had a workout over at the park in Fountain Hills.
How'd
Why?
that go?
I mean, it was a jog, and then it was a lot of rah-rah. It was then a circuit. So, but as a training professional, hold on, I'm actually knowledgeable in this stuff.
Yeah, let me hear it.
So you got a lot of unshaped people, and you're throwing them around, right? You're just throwing them around like a boot camp. So what I saw a lot of people there, because I look deeper than most people, is a lot of unhealthy, like kind of fit looking people that were doing these workouts. I mean, I dusted it easy because I'm in good shape and I take care of my body, and I always have. But I just saw that it was just a hoorah building moment, really. That's what I saw the workout as, me personally.
So if you take somebody who's morbidly obese and you tell them, we're going to build you discipline, and you make them start a jog and they're passing out, and you can yell at them. You can shame them.
Yep.
You can say,
They're
get
yelling.
into shape. If you could take a guy like you or me or Troy, we're dusting what are we going to learn? By the way, I do believe in discipline as a separate category, right? There's motivation and discipline. Show me a disciplined person. You don't need motivation.
Well,
I don't need somebody to yell at me to tell me that I
don't.
have work to do.
Right.
But that is the demographic they want. Is show me the guy who's eating potato chips or girls and watching Netflix at night and eating a pint of ice cream, so we can shame them and make them realize that
or
they
even
need to
just the
spend more money.
lost person that's kind of like a gym bro,
Right.
too. So, all right, we're gonna have Troy back on. So that's it.
Good.
So you asked what type of people were over there at the Lion's Den, and I thought it, after being there for a while, it was a place for wayward boys or boys that had
like a halfway
lost
house.
their father or something, and they were looking for that father figure. One of the other red flags that came up right in the beginning, and again, I was in a desperate place. I wanted to believe. I knew I witnessed the internet. There is technical advancements. There are people selling courses. I know it can happen. When I got to the Elliott Group, they picked me up. Well, first of all, they got around me, and then it was this whole thing of picking me up. And I've studied enough sales and psychology.
Hold on. Time out.
Yeah.
Not just picking you up like Uber. You mean physically lifting you.
They lifted me up.
Is that what you're talking about when you say pick me
Yeah,
up?
my pants ended up falling down and shit. And they literally, I was
They physically
flat.
raised you.
Correct. I was flat.
Wow.
So I came in there, and it was Christmas vacation, so I had my daughter with me and her dog, and so there was a lot going on. I had my assistant there as well, and I always usually bring my hardcover books of my Ripped at 50 book, and I had given one. I will give my books to anyone if they promise to read it, right? Otherwise, you can buy it, right? Especially the hardcover. And I sign them, right? So I think I signed it for one person, and I had left my backpack, and there was a book on the table as well, and I'm pretty mindful. And so they picked me up, and I'm like, whatever. I don't like people getting on my shoulder. I was abused as a kid, so I don't like people over my shoulders, and all of a sudden I'm up in the air, and I'm like, holy fuck balls. And I already know when you touch people, when you talk to them, it's a psychological sales tactic.
100% it is.
And so, but this is just to the next level. And so there was so much excitement, and then I got put down, and then I think I grabbed my bag and I left one or two books there. And when I came back, the book was stolen. And again, I'm a benefit of the doubt guy. And if I'm doing business or whatever, and I don't want to be petty either, right? And so maybe somebody took it and they just wanted to look at it, and then they're going to give it back. And I actually signed one and gave one to, I think, Andy. And Andy said that got lost too. So it's like 2 books that were taken, right? I didn't give it to someone; they just took it, and so so that was a red flag. And then, like I said, when I came in there to check in on the sales funnels and work with Roger Long and the other guy Ron in there, they were supposed to be the tech guys or whatever. I quickly realized that these were just children and not very skilled. And so, yeah, and there was an incredulous element. Like, I mean, I got a book, I got thousands of videos online. Should be easy to put together some assets. You know, you say you can do a sales funnel. There's some copywriting.
You never got that.
Copywriting, VSL. I have all the communications with Sean Pollard, the vice president of Andy Elliott Group at that time. Sent him videos. I have all the documentation, all my communication with Ian and Evan Macklin, the twins. I have all these communications. And so, yeah, there was never any results. It was all just what Barbero said. It was hoorah.
What's the psychology of being lifted up physically?
I don't know, but I'm sure you could probably look that up and
To
find
make
it.
you feel good. It's funny, in other cultures, in weddings, they lift the guys up on chairs, and it's supposed to be a spiritual elevation. It's supposed to be, even in tribes, they do this in tribes. The visitor who comes, they lift them up. Somebody who's valued, we're showing you value because you're physically raised above everyone else. So
Yeah.
So
And
it's almost like praising that person.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there was a certain element. Look, I know I'm doing good work. I have seen the vision of my work.
Sure.
Right? I am here to usher in a new level of consciousness on this planet and make things sustainable and harmonic. Peace and harmony is what I am after and creating in this world. And I've got a decent track record. I know what I'm here to create. So I know it's going to happen. Maybe this is just the lesson that I needed to learn in the School of Hard Knocks to galvanize my soul.
It's a good way to look at it. And tell people about your experience.
I mean, it's a fucking tough lesson, bro.
Yeah.
You know, from one man to another to be taken like that. And so that's a fucking tough lesson. And actually, these lessons have been tough. And the thing about me is, like, I want to believe in the goodness of people. I want to believe I can see the power of technology. I can see it. I know that Steve Jobs created this phone to help me. His mission was to help every man be able to communicate with people of the world. It's done. I know if the mind can conceive it and believe it, it can achieve it. So I know that we can create greatness in this world. And so when other brothers take advantage, that's grotesque to me.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I'm sorry to hear it, and I think there's a lot of good nuggets for people to hear your story and learn about it. And I've seen enough to know that I think you were definitely taken advantage of. And you know, it's easy to tell people to guarantee them, look them in the face that I can do this and I'll give it to you. I just need 50 grand and dupe them. You know, it's a lot easier than people think, and I think that's what happened to you.
God bless everybody out in cyberspace. Until next time, assalamu alaikum.